Revealed, how two abandoned twins transformed their lives into an incredible million-dollar journey. Emma and Ethan stood at the cusp of their future, two resilient souls born from shadows. Abandoned as toddlers at a small church, they navigated the foster care system hand in hand, crafting a life out of the scraps of love they had witnessed. Despite the world's unforgiving nature, their bond was an unbreakable chain, a precious gem that sparkled in the midst of hardship. The local diner became both their workplace and safe haven, filled with the smell of fresh coffee and laughter that reverberated in time with their pounding hearts. Every shift spent at the diner was a testament to their grit. They carried plates with the ease of seasoned waitstaff but fought battles within. Emma often caught glimpses of hopeful futures through the clattering of silverware, while Ethan saw dreams crushed like sugar packets underfoot. Their teenage years brought a mix of responsibility and yearning. They supported each other fiercely, locked in a dance of loyalty and unspoken fears, but a new chapter loomed when a distant relative stepped into their lives. An opportunity for a stable home, for a family who genuinely cared, hung tantalizingly close. Emma's heart fluttered at the thought of comforts long out of reach. Ethan, however, felt the walls closing in, as if their very souls were to be caged. In a whirlwind of emotions, the twins found themselves tumbling into conflicting paths. Emma chased a scholarship at a prestigious college, her dreams glimmering like stars. Ethan schemed and scraped, fueled by a relentless desire for independence, a fire that seemed to blaze brighter in the shadows of doubt. One ordinary day, while wiping down tables, they crossed paths with a local entrepreneur who saw the sparks of potential in their eyes. He offered them a platform to harness their dreams and skills. It was exhilarating, a possibility that lit up their souls. Yet, it was also a moment of reckoning. It drove home the lesson: their strengths were amplified when they stood together. Through the highs and lows of raising their small venture, they drew deeply from the roots of their community, igniting hope not just for themselves but for others who felt lost. But as they ventured deeper, the shadows loomed larger. A confrontation with their estranged relative threatened to unravel everything they had worked for. Emma struggled with the warmth of potential family, while Ethan stood firmly on the edge of self-made freedom. Their emotional journey echoed the greater American dream, but it teetered on a tightrope of ambition and the ghosts of their past. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As their business began to flourish, so did their budding ache for understanding, and the weight of unaddressed fears started to press down on their hearts. The uncertain ground they stood on began to shift, shaking their foundation, and right when hope flourished the strongest, an unforeseen setback stole in quietly, leaving them questioning everything. Were they strong enough to overcome this hurdle? Could the bond forged in the fires of their past be the very thing that saves them, or would it lead to their undoing? The air was thick with tension, and as the world held its breath, so did they, wondering if their journey to success would be cut short just as it began to take flight. The moment the news landed, it felt like a punch to the gut. One of their key suppliers had gone bankrupt overnight, leaving both their stock and plans in disarray. Emma stared at the message on her phone, the words blurring as panic surged through her veins. "Ethan, we need to talk." Her voice trembled, and he instantly caught the shift in her demeanor. His heart raced as he wiped his hands on his apron, rushing over to her side. "What is it?" "The supplier, they're shutting down." Emma's voice cracked at the end of her sentence, the gravity of their situation weighing heavy in the air. "What? That can't be right." Ethan's face paled as he grabbed her phone, reading the message himself. The reality of it sunk in like a stone dropped in a lake, sending ripples of fear coursing through them both. "What do we do?" he asked, panic lacing his words. The diner, their dreams, everything they've worked for felt like it was slipping through their fingers. Emma inhaled deeply, forcing herself to breathe through the fear clawing at her throat. We figure this out. We always do. She glanced around the lively diner, filled with familiar faces and laughter. It was their heartbeat, the lifeblood of their venture. Their community wouldn't let them fall without a fight, but the struggle coiled deep inside Ethan. What if we can't? What if this is it? A flicker of despair flashed in his eyes, and Emma felt her heart clench. Was this the cost of chasing their dreams? She reached out, grabbing his hand, grounding him in the moment. Listen, Ethan. We've faced worse than this. We can't let fear control us. We need a plan. With determination glimmering in her eyes, she spoke firmly. Let us talk to the community. See if we can find a way to get what we need. Ethan nodded, searching her expression for solace. Okay. But if we don't find anything, he couldn't finish the thought. Then we'll create something new, she interrupted, squeezing his hand. Together. That night, sleep came fitfully as thoughts churned in Ethan's mind like a storm. He thought back to their childhood, to moments of survival when they leaned on one another more than any mother or father. They were strong, they had to be. With their diner thriving as their refuge, all those days of hard work should translate into something greater than mere survival, shouldn't they? The next day, they set into motion a plan to rally their supporters. Emma, ever the planner, crafted an open letter for their community, explaining their plight with transparency and hope. Ethan, meanwhile, engaged with every regular patron, weaving the tale of their dreams and the sudden hurdles they faced. They embraced their vulnerability, inviting others to join their cause. A gentle wave of support surged back. Emma's heart soared as their loyal customers began to offer help. Some offered small loans, others promised to spread the word. The incredible sense of unity lit a fire within both siblings, as old wounds began to heal with fresh hope. Yet, amidst the warmth of support, doubt still whispered in the corners of Ethan's mind. The unexpected grace of their community was remarkable, but how long could it last? As the days wore on, they managed to secure new suppliers, but with higher prices looming, their financial security felt precarious. It became clear, their success hinged on more than just coming together. It required trust, sacrifice, and maybe even risking their own dreams for a collective goal, and as they headed into the next week, both were left wondering, would their bond pull them together or tear them apart when the ultimate sacrifice was called into question? They stood on the edge, ready to leap into the unknown, but were they willing to pay the price? The sun hung low on the horizon, casting a golden light that bathed the diner in warm hues. Emma and Ethan had spent the morning preparing for the community meeting, each stacked with their own thoughts and anxieties. Word had spread, and tonight, they hoped the diner would be filled with familiar faces ready to stand with them. Do you think they'll understand? Ethan asked, fiddling with the edge of a napkin, his nervous habit resurfacing. Emma turned to him, determination radiating from her. They'll see how hard we've fought. We're not just here to ask for help, we're here to share our dream. Her smile, though small, brightened the shadows in Ethan's heart. As evening approached, a line formed outside the diner. The scent of burgers and fries wafted through the air, mingling with the anticipatory laughter of their customers. Emma's heart warmed at the sight of familiar faces, neighbors, friends, and even patrons they'd never spoken to before. The strength of their community began to steady her nerves. Once everyone settled in, Emma took a deep breath. Thank you all for coming, she said, her voice steady even as her knees trembled slightly. We've faced some challenges recently. She felt Ethan's hand slip into hers, a silent promise that they were in this together. But we believe that with your support, we can not only survive but thrive. The room fell silent, tension thickening in the air. Ethan then spoke up, sharing their story, the hard work, the sleepless nights, the dreams of building something beautiful together. He poured his heart out, recalling the joy their diner had brought not just to them, but to those who walked through the doors. As they laid everything bare, murmurs of empathy echoed back at them. One by one, supporters began to share their own stories of struggles and resilience, creating an unbreakable bond underlined by shared experiences. "I remember when I first moved here," Mrs. Jenkins said, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "This diner was my first taste of home. I'd hate to see it go." Ethan's chest tightened. "We don't want to let you down," he admitted, vulnerability spilling into his words. But amidst the warmth, a gnawing thought tugged at Emma's heart. The community was rallying, but how long could they stretch their resources? As the discussion unfolded, they began brainstorming ways to raise funds. Ideas flowed: community potlucks, bake sales, even local art nights where artists could showcase their work. The energy in the room shifted into a collective will that made hope swell within Emma, yet, shadows still crept in. "How do we balance all this?" Ethan's voice lowered, the weight of their situation becoming evident once more. "What if we can't meet those costs?" Silence fell heavily. Emma squeezed his hand tighter, grounding them both. "We've made it this far. We can't let fear dictate our choices. We jump into the unknown, together." With renewed energy, they wrapped up the meeting, their goodbyes filled with promises and eagerness. People left with flyers, pledging to spread the word. Emma watched the patrons, hearts filled with gratitude and hope as they departed into the night. That night, as they cleaned up, the diner buzzed even in stillness. "You think it'll work?" Ethan asked, a hint of uncertainty still woven in his words. Emma smiled softly, the hope within her seeming to glow brighter. "It will. We have each other and this community. That's the strongest foundation we could ask for." Yet, in the back of her mind, a shadow loomed. What if their combined efforts still weren't enough? The thought lingered, a reminder of the fragility of their dreams. As they closed up for the night, a knock sounded on the glass door, shattering the brief moment of calm. They exchanged quick glances before Emily, one of their regulars, peeked in, her face illuminated by the streetlight outside. They opened the door, instinctively knowing whatever waited outside would change everything. "Guys, you won't believe what just happened." "Emily, what's going on?" Emma asked, concern knitting her brows together. "You'll never guess," Emily exclaimed, stepping fully into the diner. She was panting slightly, excitement bubbling in her voice. "I just left the community center. They heard about your struggles and they want to help." Ethan's brow furrowed. "Help? How?" Emily clutched a flyer, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "They're organizing a fundraiser next Saturday. A big one. They want local businesses to come together and showcase what they offer. People will come to eat, enjoy music, and donate. It could be exactly what you need." Emma felt a rush of warmth surging through her. "That sounds amazing," she said, glancing at Ethan, who looked equally stunned. "But wait, there's more. They also want to feature the diner as the main attraction," Emily continued, a grin spreading across her face. "Your signature dishes, a special menu just for the event, and even some live cooking demonstrations. It's a chance to really put you guys out there." Ethan could hardly contain his enthusiasm. "This is huge. But what's the catch?" His voice held an edge of skepticism. "Nothing this good ever came without a price." "There's no catch," Emily insisted, a slight frown appearing. "It's purely to support the community and your diner. People want to see you succeed. They care about what this place means to them." Emma felt tears prick at the edges of her eyes. "Are you serious? They're willing to do all of this?" "Absolutely." Emily nodded, her excitement infectious. "But you have to prepare. If people come out for this, you want it to be perfect. The food, the atmosphere, everything." Ethan squeezed Emma's hand, a swell of hope bolting from his heart to his fingertips. "We can do this," he said, determination returning to him. We can make this happen. But can we do it in time? Emma's voice trembled with equal parts excitement and anxiety. What if we can't pull together enough dishes, or if it doesn't turn out right? Emily walked over, placing her hands on Emma's shoulders. You're not in this alone anymore. You've got the whole town behind you. You won't believe how many people have been waiting for this chance to pitch in. Emma felt a wavering in her chest, a flicker of fear at the enormity of the task. But the sheer sincerity of Emily's words ignited something deep within her. You're right, Emily. We can do it. We have a chance to show everyone how much this diner means to all of us. They stood in a huddle, three friends on the brink of something grand, their hearts intertwined with hope. All right, we need to spread the word, Ethan urged, his voice rising with adrenaline. We can use social media, flyers, maybe even get a few local news stations in on it. As they began to brainstorm, the diner seemed to come alive with possibility. Laughter and chatter filled the air, banishing the remnants of doubt that had clung to them just moments before, but just as the ideas began to flow freely, Emma felt the strain of reality threading its way back into her mind. What if we don't raise enough? What if? She stopped, biting her lip. What if we do? Emily interjected, her eyes fierce. What if we raise more than enough? What if it is the turning point for everything? The trio exchanged determined looks, a shared resolve flickering brightly in their hearts. They would take the leap. Together. As they began making plans, Emma's phone buzzed, a message lighting up the screen. Her heart skipped a beat when she recognized the name. It was Martha, the local reporter who had shown an interest in their story before. She opened the message, and her breath caught in her throat. Can we meet? I'd love to feature your diner in an article about local businesses striving to thrive. Let me know what works for you. Emma's heart raced. It could be a game changer. But beneath the thrill of potential success was also a whisper of doubt. Would revealing their struggles put them under a harsher spotlight? With a glance to Ethan and Emily, Emma knew one thing for sure: they were standing at the precipice of a new chapter, filled with both fear and excitement. Let us talk about this, Emma suggested, her mind working in overdrive. We need to come up with a plan, not just for the fundraiser, but also for how to share our story. If we're going to do this, we need to do it right. As they dove into another round of brainstorming, the door creaked open again. A figure stood silhouetted against the streetlight, a familiar face stepping inside. Emma's heart jolted as she recognized the visitor. Hey, sorry to interrupt, but I just heard about the fundraiser, and I might have a way to help. Emma's anticipation surged. What more could possibly happen tonight? What other surprises awaited them on this roller coaster of hope? Emma's heart raced as she squinted against the dim light of the diner, trying to make sense of the figure stepping through the door. As the light fell on the newcomer, the familiar face of her old friend Lucy emerged, her vibrant energy filling the room like a fresh breeze. Lucy! It's been so long! Emma exclaimed, rushing forward to embrace her. Behind her, Ethan and Emily watched, both surprised and curious. I know. I heard about the fundraiser, Lucy said, stepping back to look at Emma. When I saw your post on social media, I had to come see you. I thought I could help. What do you mean? Ethan asked, his eyebrows raised. Lucy reached into her bag and pulled out several envelopes, each neatly stacked. Remember the cupcake business I started last year? Well, it took off way more than I expected. I've been saving up, and I want to donate a portion of my profits to the fundraiser. Also, I can bake for the event. Emma felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. You'd really do that for us? Absolutely. This diner has always been a special place for everyone, Lucy replied. And I want to help in any way I can. The trio burst into excited chatter, tossing around ideas of flavors and how many cupcakes they could make. Laughter filled the diner, an infectious joy that momentarily pushed away the worries of the looming event. "Let us combine forces," Emily suggested, her eyes sparkling. "We could have a cupcake station along with the cooking demos. It would draw in a crowd for sure." As the enthusiasm swelled, a wave of reality crashed back into Emma's mind. But what if it's not enough? What if no one shows up? What if they don't like the food? She interjected, her voice wavering once more. "Hey, look at me." Lucy leaned forward, sincere and focused. "You can't think that way. This isn't just about food, it's about community. People want to support you, they want to connect with this diner. Everyone has a story, and you've created a space where those stories thrive." Emma's eyes glistened, each word hitting home. For the first time in a long while, she felt a flicker of belief seep into her doubts. "You're right. This means a lot to people. It means a lot to me." With renewed vigor, Emma, Ethan, Emily, and Lucy dove into planning, their voices blending in a harmonious chorus of ideas. As they made lists of potential donors, community members they could approach, and plans for the decor, the weight of the fundraiser slowly transformed from a looming burden to an exciting challenge. Hours passed, and laughter echoed in the diner. The counter, once a lonely place of worry, now felt alive. It was a reminder of what this diner had always stood for: the heart of their community, a refuge for good food, shared stories, and compassion. But just as they settled on a plan, Emma's phone buzzed again, interrupting their joyful brainstorm. She hesitated, glancing at the screen. Her gut churned, recognizing a name that only added to the heavy knot forming in her stomach. It was George, the landlord. "Should I answer?" she asked, glancing at Ethan and the others. Their expressions mirrored her trepidation, nervous yet curious. What would he have to say? Taking a deep breath, she swiped to answer. "Hello, George." "Emma," his voice was low, serious. "We need to talk about your rent situation. Can you come by tomorrow?" An icy grip wrapped around Emma's heart. The thrill of the evening faded momentarily, eclipsed by the weight of her reality. Just when she thought a chance of relief was on the horizon, another obstacle loomed large in front of her. With the friends by her side, she steeled herself. They had a fundraiser to pull off, but more importantly, she'd have to face whatever George had to say. And with every heartbeat, she felt fate tightening its grip. What would this discussion reveal? Would it shatter their dreams before they had even lit a spark? As uncertainty swirled around them, Emma knew one thing: the road ahead was going to be anything but easy. The sun rose the next morning, casting a golden glow through the diner's windows. The scent of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the memories that clung to every booth and counter. Emma arrived early, her heart heavy with anxiety. The lively atmosphere felt distant as she pushed the door open and stepped inside, the familiar jingle of the bell sounding more like a warning chime. Today, she found herself staring at the empty seats, each one seeming to echo back her fears. What would George say? Would he have security waiting to throw her out? What if he decided to increase the rent to a point that she couldn't keep up? Just the thought made her stomach twist. She leaned against the counter, gripping it until her knuckles turned white. "Hey, you okay?" Ethan's voice broke through her reverie. He stepped in, followed closely by Lucy and Emily, both of whom wore concerned expressions. "I'm not sure about today," Emma admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Lucy placed a comforting hand on Emma's shoulder. "We're all anxious, but remember, you're not alone in this. We're here. Whatever happens, we'll figure it out together." Emma managed a small nod, her friend's support a fragile lifeline. The doorbell chimed again as more patrons began to trickle in, a mix of regulars and new faces looking for their morning fix. Hours passed in a blur of laughter and the clinking of glasses as they prepared for the fundraiser. Emma busied herself with the details, but her mind kept drifting back to that looming conversation with George. Each mention of cupcakes or decorations felt like a weight added to her shoulders. She had to brace herself for the worst. Then, as if the universe heard her worries, a spark of hope burst into the diner. A group of customers walked in, chatting excitedly. They weren't just any customers, it was the local band that had played at so many community events. "Hey, Emma!" one of them called out, grinning widely. "We heard about the fundraiser. We want to lend our voices. Can we play a few sets?" Emma's heart soared. "Absolutely. That would be amazing. Count us in." Another band member added. "We'll rally the crowds for you." As they began to discuss logistics, Emma's spirits brightened. Maybe, just maybe, today wouldn't be a complete disaster. But as the clock ticked closer to the meeting time with George, dread coiled tightly around her heart. She took deep breaths, but they felt heavy and labored. "Are you ready?" Emily asked, concern etched across her face. Emma forced a smile, even though her gut told her something else. "I will be." Just then, her phone vibrated once again. A text message lit up the screen from George. "I'm outside. Can we talk?" Emma's stomach plummeted. All the positivity she felt moments ago evaporated in the face of that simple message. She glanced at her friends, their faces offering varying degrees of worry and encouragement. "I'll be right back," Emma said, her voice shaky. She stepped outside, the chill in the air heightening her senses. George stood near his car, arms crossed, his expression unyielding. "Emma," he began without preamble. "We need to discuss what's happening with your rent." As his words wrapped around her like a vice, Emma could feel the weight of her dreams hanging in the balance. The air felt thick with tension. Would she be able to defend the heart of the diner, or was this the beginning of the end? And as they stepped into the conversation, anxiety surged through her veins like fire. Emma knew that this moment could decide everything. Would she rise to the occasion and fight for her diner, or would she walk away empty-handed? George shifted his weight, his eyes narrowing as he searched Emma's face. "You don't seem surprised," he said, his voice steady but cold. Emma swallowed hard, feeling the dread seep into her bones. "I had a feeling," she started, her voice cracking. "I knew things were changing. But I didn't think what?" He interrupted, irritation flickering across his features. "That I would actually follow through?" Taking a moment, Emma steadied herself. Her mind raced as she pieced together her arguments. "George, this diner, it's more than just a business to me. It's a part of this community, a place where memories are made. Raising the rent would hurt so many people." He scoffed, crossing his arms tighter. "Business is business, Emma. You know that. Costs go up, and I can't let you operate at a loss." Emma felt the pulse of frustration and fear rise in her chest. "But I'm trying to make it work. The fundraiser, it's going to help us stay afloat. If you just give us a chance." He cut in again, his voice growing sharper. "A chance? Emma, you've had chances. You've been in the red for months now. Don't you understand that I have my own bills to pay?" Her heart raced as chaos swirled around her thoughts. She could picture her friends cheering on the band, their faces lit up with hope and excitement. She clung to that image. "I want to let this place go under. I can't. We can make this work, together." The tension shifted for a moment, and for a split second, George looked unsure. But then he shook his head, a smirk creeping back onto his lips. "You think a bake sale is going to solve your problems? It's about more than just money." She shot back, her voice stronger now. "It's about bringing people together, keeping a dream alive. You want to be a part of that?" George paused, the glimmer of something human behind his hardened demeanor. "I don't have time for sentimental nonsense," he replied, but his voice lacked conviction. "Is that really how you see the world?" Emma pressed. "What about the families who depend on this place? The kids who need a haven? You could be a part of something bigger, you know?" His face remained unreadable. Emma took a breath, feeling the heat of her plea. Just give me some time. Let me show you what the community can do. Give me this fundraiser and then we'll talk. George's gaze flicked to the diner door, where others were gathering for the fundraiser. For a moment, doubt lingered on his brow. You think you can cover the shortfall with a single event? I believe in this place, she said firmly. And I believe in the people who love it. If you just give me a chance. A silence stretched between them, each one weighing the other's words. Emma could feel her heart pounding like a drum, her hands trembling. Fine, he finally said, his voice low and uncertain. You can hold your fundraiser. But if it doesn't make a significant impact, we'll revisit this conversation sooner than you want. Emma's heart skipped a beat. Thank you. I won't let you down. As George turned to walk away, he glanced back at her with a flicker of something, perhaps respect, or just curiosity. Just remember, you're dancing on a tightrope, he warned, glancing at the crowd starting to gather. One misstep, and it'll all come crashing down. Emma turned back to the diner, a mix of relief and trepidation washing over her. She could see Lucy and Ethan waving at her, their smiles unwavering. Hope returned like a whisper in her ear. But deep down, a nagging thought wouldn't let go. How could she deliver on a promise so big? As she took a step towards her friends, the weight of the day hung heavy again. Everything was riding on this fundraiser. Would they pull together and keep her dream alive, or was she set for a fall? In the distance, the band began tuning their instruments, the first notes rising into the air. Emma closed her eyes, breathing in the moment before it scattered into uncertainties ahead. Could she rally the town to show their support? Or would this be the last night? The diner echoed with laughter. As the sun began to set, the warm glow spilled through the diner's window, casting golden rays over the worn wooden tables. Emma took a deep breath, centering herself as she stepped out into the familiar bustle of the diner. The laughter of children and the chatter of friends filled the air, each sound a reminder of why she fought so hard to keep this place alive. Hey, Emma. Are you ready? Lucy's voice cut through the din, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Ready as I'll ever be, Emma replied, forcing a smile. The sound of the band tuning up behind her sent a shiver of excitement and anxiety down her spine. It felt like the calm before a storm. Ethan joined them, his hands stuffed deep into his pockets. What do you think? Do we have enough people? He scanned the growing crowd, a knot of worry forming in his brow. I hope so, Emma said, feeling a swell of determination. All we need is for them to believe in us. We can't let George win. This diner means everything to so many people. The first notes of a familiar tune floated through the air, and the crowd began to clap in rhythm. Emma watched as families gathered around the stage, their faces glowing with excitement. Let's kick this off. Lucy shouted, and the trio made their way to the makeshift stage. The band struck the first powerful chord, evoking cheers from the crowd. Emma stepped up to the microphone, her heart thumping. Thank you all for coming out tonight. This diner is the heart of our community, and we're here to keep it alive. Her words rang out, clear and strong, drawing attention from the crowd. The applause that followed gave her strength. She caught sight of familiar faces within the crowd, those who grew up under the dim lights of the diner, who celebrated birthdays and milestones, and who shared countless moments of warmth. As the music began to play, she felt a rush of energy. People danced, laughed, and clapped, some even joining in to help serve food and drinks. The sense of unity began to fill the air like a comforting blanket. But with each passing moment, a challenge loomed larger in Emma's mind. She needed the funds, and fast. Pushing through the joyous atmosphere, she made her way over to the donation table, where Lucy was enthusiastically rallying the attendees. Emma. Look at this. Lucy said, her face lit up with joy. We've already raised a good amount. She pointed at the growing pile of envelopes and cash. Emma's heart leapt, but before she could respond, Ethan approached. "I just heard George's car pulling up. He's here." Panic surged in her chest. She de-invited him, but now the reality of seeing him felt crushing. Did she really want him to witness their efforts after all that had happened? "Just stay calm," Lucy whispered, catching Emma's eye. "Show him what we're made of." Taking a deep breath, Emma squared her shoulders and faced the entrance. George appeared, his eyes scanning the room, too cool, too indifferent. But there was a flicker of surprise when he noticed how the diner was bursting with life. "Impressive turnout," he remarked, arms folded, his expression unreadable. "Thank you, George," Emma replied, mustering her confidence. "Just wait until you see everything we have planned." The band played on, the rhythm weaving through everything like a heartbeat. Emma could feel the tension creeping back, but this time, it was different. It wasn't just pressure, it was resolve. She would not let fear dictate her actions anymore. As she turned her back to George, a thought struck her: what if he didn't see the community spirit tonight? What if he remained unmoved by this show of unity? With renewed determination, Emma stepped back into the crowd, ready to make her case, reminding herself that the real fight was not just about the diner. It was about believing in the power of the people and their stories. She recalled the faces of her friends, her extended family bound by laughter and shared dreams. The time to win over not just George, but the whole town, was now. But would the fundraiser be enough to truly change his mind? And what would happen if it wasn't he? Emma felt the pulse of the crowd around her, the energy lifting her spirits even as anxiety knotted her stomach. The band played on, vibrant notes filling the air, but her focus kept drifting back to George. She could see him standing at the edge of the action, arms crossed tightly. Was he really here to witness the community's support, or was he waiting to pounce on any sign of weakness? "Let's get this show on the road." Lucy's voice broke through her thoughts as she waved Emma over. "We're about to introduce some of the diner's biggest supporters. Think it'll help? Personal stories could make a difference." Emma nodded, grateful for Lucy's enthusiasm. Each person who stepped up would share the memories and emotions tied to the diner, adding layers to the battle Emma was fighting. She moved closer to the stage, adrenaline thrumming through her veins. As the first guest took the stage, a familiar face appeared. It was Mrs. Abigail, an elderly lady who had frequented the diner for decades. Her voice trembled slightly, but her eyes sparkled with warmth. "Emma saved my life," she said, her words hanging in the air like a gentle breeze. "This diner isn't just a place to eat. It's where I met my late husband. It's where I celebrated my children's first birthdays. It's where we gathered to share stories and create memories. We can't let it be taken from us." The crowd erupted in applause. Emma felt a swell of emotions: hope, gratitude, and pride. This was the heart of the community, beating stronger than ever. More guests took the mic, each sharing how the diner had woven itself into their lives. Stories of laughter, tears, and friendship sparked something deeper within attendees. Emma watched George's face, trying to gauge his reaction. A slight shift in his stance told her he was listening, perhaps more than she had initially thought. "Ladies and gentlemen," Emma called out, taking her turn at the microphone. "Thank you all for sharing your stories. They remind us why we're here tonight. We're coming together, proving that this diner is a part of who we are. But it's also about keeping our dreams alive. We can't do it alone." She paused, scanning the room filled with hopeful faces. "I need your help. Tonight, let us show everyone just how much this diner means, not just for us but for future generations." The crowd cheered as she took a breath, steadying herself before she introduced a donation challenge. "For every $1 given tonight, I will match it. It's time to put our money where our hearts are." A ripple of excitement ran through the room. Emma's heart raced as donations began pouring in at an astonishing rate. She could hardly keep up with Lucy and Ethan as they passed the donation box around, but her focus snapped back to George when she noticed he had drifted closer to the stage. She locked eyes with him and tried to read his expression, wavering between disbelief and curiosity. Was that a hint of respect? As the evening unfolded, the momentum surged. Laughter filled the diner, but there was a lurking tension. Emma's senses heightened. This night was driving toward something, and she could feel it in her bones. Suddenly a voice cut through the revelry, a harsh, mocking one. "So, you really think all this is enough? A few heartfelt stories and a donation drive? You really are deluding yourselves." George stood glaring from the edge of the crowd, arms still tightly folded. Emma felt a cold swipe of fear grip her heart. Doubt danced dangerously in her mind. Could she convince everyone tonight mattered? Would they drown out George's dark voice with their laughter? Showtime, Emma, she thought, stepping closer to the microphone again. The time to dig deep and rise was now. Little did she know that the challenge would uncover secrets she never expected. What could George reveal that would shatter everything she built during this night of hope? Emma steadied herself, feeling the weight of George's words wrap around the moment like a tightening noose. But she couldn't let it crush her spirit. "George, this isn't just about the money," she replied, her voice steady despite the racing pulse in her chest. "This entire evening is a testament to our community. It's proof that we've built something worth fighting for." The crowd stirred, murmuring in agreement. The sense of unity pulsed in the air, an eddy of determination and hope that surged stronger than any shadow George cast. George's smirk faltered for just a heartbeat, and Emma couldn't let it go to waste. "We've grown here, and we've connected. It's like a tapestry woven from each story, each shared meal. What can you stand to gain from tearing it apart?" The atmosphere shifted. Laughter faded, replaced by a powerful silence that hung between them like a charged wire, crackling with tension. Emma took a breath. The crowd's energy fueled her courage, and she knew that each voice mattered. Their voices could drown out George's doubt, but George let out a scoff. "People are fickle, Emma. What happens when you have one bad night? Your existence hangs by a thread." The looming truth of his words threatened to grip her heart, tightening like a vice. But she pressed on, steadying her voice. "Maybe they are, but tonight is proof that we're more than just a diner. We're a lifeline, a gathering place. Those stories you scoff at represent something real and valuable. You'll see that if you really look." A flicker of something passed through his eyes. Maybe it was recognition, maybe uncertainty. Emma knew this was her moment. "Look around. Everyone here believes in this diner. They believe in keeping our home alive. If you can't see the worth in that, then perhaps you've lost your way." With every word, Emma felt conviction rising within her. Each face in the crowd was a testament to this journey, their applause a heartbeat that echoed her own. "George, don't just dismiss us. Instead, see the impact we can make together. We can build up this diner, and in return, it will build up our community. Each person presenting their heart adds weight to why this place matters." She stepped closer to him, searching for a crack in his armor. The crowd began to stir. Faces turned towards George, many nodding, some even murmuring words of support. The tide was turning. Emma held her breath, sensing that their resilience was a tide that would wash over George's wall of skepticism. I just don't see how a single event can change everything," he replied, his steel facade waning slightly. Emma's heart raced, igniting a surge of hope. "But it's not just this event. It's the commitment we'll show afterward. We're asking for a chance, not just for one night, but for a future." She raised her arms, inviting everyone's attention. "So, let us show him." With that final rallying cry, she turned back to the crowd, igniting a wave of cheers. The din rose and fell like a heartbeat, every clap and shout resonating throughout the diner. As the night progressed, Emma could feel the room shift. Faces transformed from apprehension to belief, and she knew a true change was occurring. Fund contributions poured in faster than she could count, cash, checks, promises from people who wanted to see the diner thrive. Through it all, Emma kept glancing back at George, watching his reaction. Perhaps she saw the tiniest crack of softness, a flicker of respect for the fiery heart of their community laid bare before him. That mark was replaced when Lucy suddenly stepped up, energizing the crowd with her infectious joy. "We need to do a big announcement." She winked at Emma. "How about we open up a dessert challenge? Whoever donates over $50 can enter to win a cooking class with our chefs." Ethan grinned. "Let's get the kitchen staff in on this. It'll not only keep the energy flowing, but it'll show them our willingness to give back." The crowd erupted in cheers, laughter, and shouts. The atmosphere was electric, alive, full of promise. George remained silent, but his walls were visibly cracking under the weight of Emma's determination. She felt a fire growing, and after rallying the crowd one last time, she turned back to him. "This is what it means to have community at your back. Accept support, and see the beauty in unity." The crowd's enthusiasm ignited a palpable shift in George. No longer rigid, he glanced around as if just realizing what it meant to be part of something bigger. "Maybe, just maybe," he started, glancing back at Emma with hesitation mixed with intrigue. "You have something here that is worth fighting for." Emma's heart soared. "Let us prove it. We'll show you, and more importantly, you will see, together we're building more than a diner. We're creating a legacy." Suddenly, the band struck up a triumphant tune, drowning out the weight of doubt. Emma turned to face the crowd, eyes radiant, with fists clenched in determination. And as they all danced, laughed, and celebrated, Emma realized this was not just the fundraiser they had fought for, this was their rebirth. The energy surged, stories mingling, hearts uniting, and somewhere in that whirlwind, George's once closed heart began to open, ready to see the light they had fought so hard to keep alive. Emma exchanged proud glances with Ethan and Lucy, knowing they had turned a corner together. It was proof that when faced with shadows, light shines brightly through the cracks. In that moment of connection, hope blossomed, and they all dared to dream a little bigger. Emma stood tall, finally feeling the warmth of resilience wrap around her like a quilt. The diner was kicking, the community was fierce, and together they had created an unbreakable bond that promised to endure. Before the night faded into memory, she locked eyes with George, inviting him to see their heart beating and recognize that they, too, stood on the precipice of transformation, a life lifted by love, each story adding a stitch to the fabric of their future. The crowd erupted into applause, and as laughter filled the air, Emma knew they would prevail, united by triumph and the belief that they didn't just have a diner. They had a home. Now it's your turn. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive journeys. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below your thoughts and feelings about this inspiring ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who deserve to see this incredible transformation. This is the moment to stand together and let your voice be heard. Don't wait not even one more second to share.